Hey friends, how's it going? Just want to say that I'm just really enjoying being friends with all of you folks and being able to spend this kind of time with you. Um, it's just really fun right now. There's a good feeling going on for me coming from you all. So thank you. So I want to respond to McSoappy's thread. Good questions, and so here we go. Who are the new artists we're listening to now that are going to become legends, like Bob Dylan and Neil Young and Beatles? And again, when we talk about legends, I think it does get into a slightly personal perspective. I do agree that Bob Dylan and Neil Young are legends. I also think Bob Marley is a legend. I think the Beatles is legendary and Nirvana is legendary. Um, Michael Jackson is legendary. People who have had a global effect on culture, on humanity, in my opinion, that's the watermark for me historically. And I also think because I lived through seeing this, possibly, I experienced the effect these people had on culture and the world. I don't think that now, because of the way, again, because of the change in the landscape of media and communication, I don't think it can happen again. In my opinion, the last band that has approached this legendary status in any way is U2. Not that they're as great, but their attempt to wrap their arms around the world, I think, is notable. So, but as far as current artists, I think that there are legends to people, to groups of people, large groups of people. But I think the idea that you can go almost from house to house and say, Michael Jackson, oh yeah, we know who that is. Bob Marley, maybe they don't know the name. You show them a picture. Oh yeah, I know who this guy is. The Beatles, yeah. But I don't think we could do that with Radiohead. And yet a lot of people would probably think of them as legends. PJ Harvey, who is a personal legend to me. Um, there's There'll be numerous places you'll go and no one will have an idea of who you're talking about. And yet, are these people having a legendary effect upon individuals? Absolutely. So my answer is, in the historic sense of a legend, no, I don't think so. But as far as artists having a major impact on large numbers of people or just people in a very significant way, yes, that will continue. Um, yeah, it's the nature of art, I would say. Next question. Do you ever get intimidated by your collection and what to listen to next? Well, my answer is I call it having a clusterfuck. Too many choices. And so, yeah, that happens sometimes. But the way that I deal with it is, as you see, sometimes I'll turn around with this wall, sometimes turn around and look at it, and I'll just kind of go back and say, oh man, it's like, what am I supposed to pick? So I do this. I bet many of you do. I have this pile right down here at my feet. Let me see if I can get it. Yeah. So, yeah, matter of fact, here's what's getting ready to get played. Some Prefuse 73, Surrounded by Silence. And also, I'll show you that I'm not an audiophile. I just don't have the money to spend. I mean, I'd love to have an audiophile setup. I just have a high-end turntable, USB turntable. Nothing fancy. Like I said, I'd love to have something fancy, but I'm just really so used to, not having money that when I have the money, I spend it on the records, not on the equipment. Okay. Top 5 artists of all time. Now, this stipulation, I don't understand why it was put there, that you can't choose multiple genres. I don't understand that. It's almost like you're assuming that everyone is thinking like that. And I don't think of my favorites according to genre. I just think of who I like, and my this is very hard, for me to make a top list of artists who are all time highly influential and inspiring to me would have to be at least 25, at least. But I have picked 5, and this was hard, and I'll try to explain. Um, Genesis is at the top. Beatles come second. Now, the Beatles had the effect that Genesis had on me first. when I was a child, the Beatles was like being struck by lightning when I saw them perform on Ed Sullivan for the first time. There's just something earth moving about that moment. Um, but when I first heard "Watcher of the Skies" by Genesis, in its own way, it was the same effect, maybe even more intense, because that one was kind of frightening. I can't explain why. It was inspiring awe. I was awestruck, but I was also frightened. It's like, this is exactly what I've been looking for. Those mellotron chords at the beginning, not even till you get into the song. It was the very hit of the da. It's like, oh God, the sky opens up and there's God looking down. That's what it sounded like. I first heard this, I think, when I was 16 or 17 years old. I was in an extreme state of depression most of the time and suicidal. And this music just came like an angel out of the sky and just changed my life again, you know. And so Genesis and the Beatles definitely go in there. Now, these next, I could change them, but these next three are very significant. Faust. And I've shown my Faust, but I thought I'd show this single by Faust. Limited edition, put out by Recommended Records many years ago. I think these songs have been issued on CD since then as part of the Faust party tapes. But Faust was, again, another, I'll never forget that moment, experience of when I first heard it. A friend turned me on, and it was just like time stopped. And it was the first album, that intro, and then all of a sudden you hear a little bit of All You Need Is Love and Satisfaction. And it was just like, I just knew that I was in for an experience. I just, you know, the music and the way it was coming. But then also I was shocked knowing already then at that time about, like, for example, the Stones being notoriously protective of their rights. It's like, how are these people getting away with this? That's Satisfaction. That's the Beatles. How did they get away with this? You know what I mean? It's like, to this day, it's like, hope I'm not opening up a can of worms here, but how did they get away with that? You know? So, and then the collage sound, it just, again, I had already been turned on to Music Concrete and John Cage and things. And so I was, you know, open to that type of expression, and Steve Reich. But the collagey thing that Faust did, and the way that they would manipulate sounds to the point you don't like know what in the heck am I hearing, you know, just very significant to me. And so Faust is definitely one of my top five. Here's another Faust single that I think is probably, this is numbered. I have number 383 out of 600. And this is also signed by Chris Cutler. Got this years ago. These are my boys. These are my boys. I do, part of what I do besides play music is I have a series of releases and of that I put out, as well as just, it's work that I do, sound work. I call it my sound work. And it's greatly influenced by Faust, but I'm not trying to sound like Faust. It's just that it's that sensibility that opened up my mind, where working purely with sound and sound manipulation and juxtaposition, I love it. I love doing it, and I love listening to music like that. Okay. The next band that I have to include, and I'm thinking if I can find no, it's not going to be easy to find a 45, is Can. I have to mention Can. I've shown all my Can albums, and I was thinking, well, but it won't be easy to get to the singles. I've got some Can singles as well. I'll show them again sometime. Can, the effect wasn't like Faust, the Beatles, or Genesis, but it was actually more like I didn't understand at first. But when it hit me, like Henry Cow, it just was like a ton of bricks. And the rhythms, you know, I recognized the connection to James Brown and stuff like that, but how that funk was being used in a non-funk manner to me, it just took the top of my head off. It just really expanded my perception of music and, frankly, life. Um, Another really cool moment for me in early discovering Can was when I saw Hawkwind. I saw Hawkwind in 1973, I believe it was, with, of all people, Rush opening. But they also had a DJ in between their sets, Andy Dunkley. Um, he was a kind of a personality in England. And what I remember about his set was that that was the first time I heard a limited edition by Can. He played Gamera. And I'd never heard it. He announced it. He said, Can. I couldn't believe my ears. I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I'm hearing this guy talk with an English accent. He's about to play something by Can I never heard. It was heaven on earth, okay? So I'm going on a little bit, but I think that you all want to know what I'm thinking, so I'm sharing. And the last one that I'll include for now, I'm going to see if I can just quick get a record, is Alan Holdsworth, the guitar player, Alan Holdsworth. And if that comes as a surprise, folks, that's cool. Alan Holdsworth, regularly, he's someone that I come back to more than I come back to Miles Davis, more than I come back to Neil Young, more than I come back to Radiohead, more than I come back to a lot of people. I come back to Alan Holdsworth, and his guitar playing just takes care of it. Moves me to tears at times. I know people who I've tried to play it for, I played it for, and they didn't understand what I was listening to. They thought it was just willy, 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 and it is. But what it does to me, and that's I can only speak for myself, is phenomenal. Alan Holdsworth guitar playing is so singular that there's the term Holdsworthian. Ooh, that's Holdsworthian. I hear a deep, deep cry of the soul in his tone and many of his solos where he's reaching, where he's trying to go with it. I hear some deep, deep, deep sorrow, and I relate to it. And that is exactly the word, is sorrow. There's a lot about life that is sweet, but as I'm sure many of you can relate to, life is a bitch. And it's heavy. It can be really hard sometimes, and music can be such a wonderful medicine. And Alan Holdsworth always does it for me. Always I can find some Alan Holdsworth that will just do the trick for me. So that's my answer to that, and I will wrap it up with the last. I know I've gone on for a while. Name 2 other hobbies outside of records. Can't be family or significant others. Well, I can't imagine them being hobbies, but I'm sure people would say that. So my answer is, number 1, creative expression through the arts. I'm a musician, but I don't practice. I've never been one who practices. I learn things. I hear something and I learn it. I play guitar and bass, but I'm not a guitarist. I'm not a bassist. I'm not into basses and into guitars like some people I am. I appreciate them, but I don't practice. I don't really know all of my chords. I don't know what. I had a guitar player show me a ninth last night for the millionth time, and I've forgotten what it is today. I started playing guitar learning Heart of Gold by Neil Young, literally, and that is so easy, but it's like those chords are such the basis of so much music that from there I could start literally playing almost anything. So I also like to create art on the computer. I like to take pictures, although I don't think of myself as an artistic photographer, but it's something I like to do, is take pictures. And my other hobby, if you would call it a hobby, but my other main interest, which I think of hobbies as, is observing human behavior and philosophizing on human behavior and social, I don't know, not trends, but the state of mankind. You know, it's part of who I am. Although I'm a mental health specialist, I was interested in people in a very deep way very early on as a kid, partially because of the incongruency of what adults would do in relation to children. And I would get so damn confused and I think, what the hell is going on here? And so I've always wanted to know what's really going on. And I'll tell you this much, there is no reality, people. There's our perception of reality. We cannot totally grasp reality. And this also informs my interest in observing and philosophizing about social behavior and humans, is because I am flabbergasted that we, as in general, don't understand this, I think, really obvious fact, which is we all have the same encasing. We all have the same machinery. We have a body and all that comes with it. But we're not the same. We don't think the same. There is not a template of reality. It's our perception. It's the culmination of our experience, where we've been, what we've been through, who we've been around, and as much as I'll be pontificating about what I think and see and thinking well, this sure makes sense to me, I'm also understanding at the same moment, it's only what I'm experiencing and what I'm perceiving. It doesn't mean it's real to anyone else. Perhaps you or other people are having similar experiences, but the idea that people try to preach to others, well, this is the way it is, and you are supposed to think like this and do this, and then you'll be right. That's absurd to me. It's one of the observations that I continue to observe happening in life with mankind over and over again, which is we talk shit. We say one thing and we do another, and we point the finger at you. You should do this, but I'm not doing it. And look at this mess of a world that we live in. Thank God for music and personal endeavors, that we can have a life and get away from the global things that are just out of control. But these things and these observations and this philosophizing and this thinking, this is of great interest to me. And I love talking to people on this, about things like this, and sharing ideas. I only have a few friends that will go here with me, because I don't want to argue. It's not like I'm trying to convince you of what I think, and certainly really don't want to be convinced to have, share with me your thoughts, but to expect that now that you told me what you think that I'm going to think it too, I'm not dumb enough to think that in reverse. I'm not thinking, well, just because I said that really good means you agree now. Bullshit. I just said what I said. You'll continue to think what you think. Maybe I'll have an influence. Maybe I won't. This whole conversation, this is a great interest of mine, okay? And so that's the answer to the last question. I'm going to sign off. And looking forward to Grecian Thunder's announcement tomorrow. The contest itself has just been great fun. People's responses. I've looked at my response a couple times, and it cracks me up every time. I love it because, again, when I get on here, just like now, it's spontaneous. I wrote down notes for this McSoappy. I've only done this one time before, but again, how I'm expounding on it is I'm just talking off the top of my head. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a fun moment. Frankly, when I found the Don Ho, it all came back to me. Oh, hell, I remember this now. And man, that wedding was, I haven't done much. I have a wedding coming up this fall. I haven't done that much. There was years ago I was doing DJing weddings a lot for side money. But this one wedding, these folks wanted Tiny Bubbles, specifically by Don Ho. Man, was that a hokey-ass wedding. You know what I'm saying? Hokey, And then again, see, that's just my perspective. Probably to this couple, this was the grandest moment in their life, and this song was really, really significant to them. But, I think it's just hokey and crap. I mean, the song is about, I'm going to get laid, Tiny bubbles in the way. Aren't we getting ready to do it, baby? You know, God, that's pathetic in my opinion. Okay, so let me stop. God bless y'all. I'll talk to you in a minute.